Welcome, the anointed ones. The brighter your light, the more shadows it casts. From the moment you entered this world, something about you disrupted the air. It wasn't the way you cried or the way you smiled. It was the undeniable energy you carried, an aura that made others uneasy without knowing why. Here's the fact. Studies show that people can sense energy before words are even spoken, and your energy is like a floodlight in a room of flickering candles. Now, let's be brutally honest. If you've ever wondered why you've been singled out, misunderstood, or attacked, it's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because you're doing something they can't comprehend. You've been radiating light since birth, and the shadows have been scrambling to put it out. But let's be real for a moment. Did you really think the world was going to roll out the red carpet for a chosen one? No, they tried to roll it up and trip you instead. But here's the kicker. Their fear isn't about what you've done. It's about what they know you're capable of doing. Stay with me because we're diving into why your light terrifies them and why their attacks were never a sign of your weakness, but of your destiny. Number 1. Your existence challenges the status quo. From the moment you came into this world, you carried a presence that shook the foundations of the environments you entered. People didn't just notice you, they felt you, even if they couldn't explain it. Your energy has always been a force that makes others question the structures they've built their lives on. That's the real issue. Your existence challenges the status quo, and for many, that's terrifying. The status quo thrives on complacency, on people sticking to the rules without questioning why they exist in the first place. But you don't fit neatly into those rules. Even as a child, your curiosity, intuition, or simply the way you viewed the world didn't align with what others expected. Because of that, you became a threat. People sensed, perhaps unconsciously, that your light wasn't just meant to illuminate your path, but to expose the cracks in theirs. That's why the attacks began so early. They weren't about you as a person, they were about protecting their comfort zones. You didn't have to say or do anything dramatic to make people uneasy. Your very presence caused ripples in their carefully maintained illusions, the systems they relied on to feel secure, be it social norms, traditions, or even their own self-image. They couldn't hold up under the truth your energy carried. This wasn't jealousy. It was pure primal fear. Fear of change, fear of losing control, fear of being forced to confront the lies they've built their lives around. The irony is you didn't choose to be a disruptor. You were born into it. The light you carry doesn't ask for permission to shine, and that terrifies those who would rather live in darkness. That's why they fought so hard to keep you down. It was never about you, it was about what you represent. Number 2, they see what you're unaware of in yourself. Before you even realized who you were, others could sense it. They saw something in you that was different, something powerful that you hadn't yet discovered in yourself. It's a strange reality, isn't it? Being judged or targeted not for what you've done, but for what you might do, for the potential you carry without even knowing it. This isn't about envy or simple misunderstanding. It's about the fear of what you could become if fully awakened. People are far more intuitive than they let on, and some have an almost primal ability to detect strength in others. When they looked at you, even as a child, they saw more than just a person. They saw a force. It wasn't always obvious to you because you were just living your life, but to them it was glaring. They couldn't put their finger on it, but they knew you were different in a way that could disrupt their sense of control, and that terrified them. This is why you may have faced resistance, criticism, or outright hostility before you even knew who you were. It's why people tried to tear you down, box you in, or make you doubt yourself. They were trying to suppress what they saw in you before it could bloom. To them, you were a threat, not because you attacked them, but because your very existence challenged their need to feel superior or in control. And here's the kicker: their fear wasn't misplaced. They were right to feel uneasy because you were destined to grow into something extraordinary. The light they saw in you was real, and their attempts to dim it only validated its power. Long before you realized your own strength, the world was already preparing for it. Number 3. You reflect their deepest insecurities. When people look at you, they often see something they wish they could ignore, their own reflection. But this isn't the flattering kind of reflection. It's the raw, unfiltered version of themselves that they've worked so hard to bury. You act like a mirror, exposing the things they don't want to admit. Their insecurities, their fears, their shortcomings. It's not something you do intentionally. It's simply a side effect of your presence. Your light forces people to see themselves clearly, and for many that's unbearable. They lash out at you because you represent everything they've avoided confronting within themselves. Your strength makes their weaknesses feel bigger. Your confidence makes their doubts louder. Your authenticity highlights the lies they've been telling themselves for years. So instead of dealing with their own issues, they make you the target. It's easier for them to attack you than to face the truth. You reflect the irony. Their hostility has nothing to do with you as a person. You could be quiet, humble, or even go out of your way to shrink yourself, and it still wouldn't matter. Their problem isn't with your actions, it's with the way your energy affects them. It shakes their foundation, makes them question their choices, and forces them to confront feelings they'd rather avoid. You are a walking contradiction to their comfort zones. They fear your light because it exposes their darkness, but deep down, they also envy your courage to shine. It's a complicated mix of resentment and admiration, but the result is always the same. They project their inner chaos onto you. Their attacks aren't a reflection of your flaws, but of the truth you unknowingly force them to see. Number 4. They fear the consequences of your awakening. From the beginning, the resistance you faced wasn't about the person you were at that moment. It was about the force you were destined to become. People, even unconsciously, have an uncanny ability to sense potential, especially when it's extraordinary. The energy you carried as a child wasn't small or ordinary. It hinted at something transformative, something that could disrupt the balance of power they desperately wanted to preserve. Their attacks weren't random or without purpose. Every attempt to criticize, belittle, or isolate you was a calculated move, even if they didn't consciously understand why they were doing it. The truth is, they weren't fighting against the version of you standing in front of them. They were fighting against the future you, the one they feared would outshine them, expose their weaknesses, or dismantle the systems they rely on to maintain control. Your awakening was never just about you. It was about the ripple effects it would create. People who operate in fear, manipulation, or mediocrity understand one thing very well. The rise of a light as strong as yours shifts the entire playing field. It inspires others, disrupts stagnation, and challenges the structure built on complacency and lies. That's what they feared most, not just your light, but the way it would spread to others. Their fear wasn't misplaced. Every obstacle they threw in your path, every attempt to break your spirit, was proof of how much they believed in your potential. They saw what you couldn't see at the time, that your awakening would tip the balance of power. Their desperation to dim your light wasn't just an act of cruelty. It was a last-ditch effort to stop what they knew they could never control. And they failed. Number 5. You threaten their comfort zones. Most people build their lives around comfort zones, predictable routines, familiar beliefs, and systems that don't challenge them too much. These zones become their safety nets, places where they can avoid growth, confrontation, and change. But when you walk into the picture, your energy shifts everything. You don't fit into the mold they've created for themselves or the world around them. Your light disrupts their stagnant existence, and instead of embracing that change, they see it as a threat. You don't have to say or do anything out of the ordinary to unsettle them. Just being yourself, a person who questions, grows, and refuses to settle, can send shockwaves through their carefully constructed reality. You represent something they've convinced themselves isn't possible: freedom, authenticity, and the courage to break out of limiting systems. And that terrifies them because deep down, they know they've settled for less. Instead of seeing your energy as a wake-up call or inspiration, they resist it to avoid acknowledging the walls they've built around themselves. For many, that's too painful to face. It's easier for them to defend their self-imposed prison than to admit they have the key to walk out. So they push back against you, labeling you as too much, different, or even intimidating. But their resistance isn't about you. It's about protecting the illusion they've spent years maintaining. Your presence forces them to question everything they've clung to. It challenges their idea of what's normal, acceptable, and possible. That's why they react defensively. Your light is a reminder of the freedom they're too afraid to claim, and in their fear, they try to dim it. But their comfort is just proof that you're exactly who you're meant to be. Number 6. They can't control what they don't understand. The human mind craves understanding. It seeks to categorize, label, and control everything it encounters. But you don't fit into their boxes. Your energy, your light, your very existence defies their attempts to pin you down. You're not playing by the same rules they've always known, and that makes you impossible to predict or manipulate. To them, you're a puzzle with no clear edges, a force they can't contain, and that frustrates them to their core. People fear what they don't understand, especially when it challenges their sense of control. They rely on predictability to maintain their power, their authority, or even their fragile sense of self-worth. But your light doesn't follow their script. It's fluid, adaptable, and completely unbothered by their need to define you. That's why they lash out. Their attacks aren't about who you are. They're about their inability to make sense of you in ways that serve their agenda. When they can't control you, they try to diminish you. They spread rumors, question your intentions, or twist your words, hoping to reduce you to something smaller, something they can manage. But their attempts always fall short, because what makes you you is beyond their comprehension. Your energy isn't something that can be tamed or explained away. It exists outside their grasp, and that's why it unnerves them so much. Their frustration is proof of your uniqueness. You don't fit the mold, and that's your greatest strength. While they scramble to figure you out, you continue to rise, untouched by their confusion. Their fear isn't just about you, it's about what your light represents, the power of living authentically, unapologetically, and beyond the limits of their understanding, and that's something they'll never be able to control. Number 7. You are proof. That darkness cannot win your existence is a living reminder that no matter how relentless the attacks, no matter how overwhelming the darkness, light cannot be extinguished. The fact that you're still standing, stronger, wiser, and brighter, is proof that their attempts to break you have failed. And that truth eats away at those who thrive in darkness. Their power depends on the illusion that they are unbeatable, but your resilience exposes their lie. Every time they tried to tear you down, they expected you to crumble. They thought their schemes, manipulations, or cruelty would silence your voice and extinguish your spirit. But each attack only fueled your growth. You became stronger in ways they couldn't comprehend. They weren't prepared for someone like you, someone who could rise again and again, not just surviving but thriving. Your survival is a threat to everything they stand for. You show the world that darkness is not as powerful as it claims to be, that no matter how much it tries, it cannot overshadow true light. This enrages them because their entire identity is tied to control and dominance. When they see you shine despite their efforts, it reminds them of their ultimate powerlessness. You don't just survive, you thrive, and in doing so, you hold a mirror to their inevitable defeat. Deep down, they know that their darkness is fleeting, while your light is eternal. That's what truly terrifies them. You are living proof that no matter how much darkness exists, it can never fully snuff out the light. Your resilience, your unshakable spirit, is the evidence that their power is limited and temporary. You represent everything they fear, the triumph of light over darkness and the unstoppable nature of truth. Number 8. Your energy disrupts negative forces. Your energy doesn't just affect individuals, it disrupts entire systems. Without you even realizing it, your presence sends shockwaves through spaces dominated by negativity, corruption, and control. These systems thrive on fear, complacency, and the collective acceptance of mediocrity. But your energy introduces something they can't handle: disruption. It's not something you try to do. It's simply the natural result of your light existing in places designed to suppress it. People who are deeply entrenched in these systems often can't explain why they feel uneasy around you. They don't need to know you personally. They just feel your energy challenging the status quo. You don't even have to speak. Your very existence sends out a frequency that unsettles them. It's as if their instincts kick in, warning them that you're not someone who can be controlled or manipulated. They sense the ripple effects of your energy, and their reaction is almost primal. Your light doesn't just shine, it exposes. It reveals hidden agendas, manipulations, and the cracks in systems that seemed unshakable to those who thrive in negativity. This is intolerable. They depend on the shadows to operate, and you bring clarity to what they've worked hard to keep obscured. This isn't just about interpersonal dynamics, it's about your impact on a larger scale. You may not always see the changes your energy initiates, but they're happening. Your presence destabilizes negativity and creates space for truth, authenticity, and higher vibrations to take root. Those who react against you aren't just fighting to maintain their comfort zones. They're defending entire systems that fear being dismantled, and whether they realize it or not, their resistance is a testament to the undeniable power of your light. Number 9. You were attacked to build unbreakable strength. From the moment you took your first breath, the world seemed determined to break you. But what if I told you that every attack, every hardship was never meant to defeat you? It was all part of a divine plan to forge you into something unbreakable. Every battle you fought, every painful moment wasn't just an obstacle. It was a step in your spiritual evolution. You were never meant to be an ordinary soul. You were being shaped into a force that cannot be stopped. The resistance you faced wasn't random. It was intentional. Every setback, every challenge, every person who tried to dim your light was a tool used to refine and strengthen you. Think of it as the tempering of steel. When metal is heated and hammered, it may look like it's being destroyed, but in truth, it's becoming stronger, sharper, and more resilient. The same happened to you. You were forged in the fire, not to be burned, but to emerge with an unshakable core. Each attack served a purpose: to break down your old self and build up your unyielding strength. Those who tried to tear you down were unknowingly helping to build the person you are now, someone who cannot be broken by external forces. The light within you needed to be tested, pushed, and honed. Resistance was the tool used to bring out the depth of your power, the brilliance of your spirit. Without it, you would never have known how unstoppable you truly are. So the next time you reflect on the hardships you faced, don't see them as moments of weakness. See them for what they were: the divine setup that helped shape you into the incredible force you are now, unbreakable, unstoppable, and destined for greatness. Number 10. You carry the blueprint for a new era. The fear directed at you isn't just about who you are in the present, it's about what you carry for the future. You're not just an individual, you're the embodiment of a new way of thinking, living, and being. The solutions, wisdom, and transformative ideas that flow through you aren't just relevant for today, they're the blueprint for a new era, one that threatens to uproot the outdated, corrupted systems that have been in place for generations. These systems, whether in politics, business, culture, or societal norms, are built on outdated beliefs, power imbalances, and structures designed to keep the status quo intact. But you are here to dismantle that. Whether you realize it or not, your very existence challenges the foundations they've built their power on. Because of this, you become a direct threat to their control. The attacks you face aren't just personal, they're generational. The forces fighting against you are not only desperate to maintain their grip on the present, but they also fear what your rise means for the future. Your ability to challenge and destroy the systems they've spent lifetimes perfecting makes you a force they can't control. To them, your very presence is proof that the old way of doing things is dying, and their efforts to suppress you are the last desperate attempts of a dying era. What they fail to understand is that their attacks only accelerate the process. Every attempt to shut you down only fuels the energy for the inevitable change. You are carrying the seed of transformation, and no amount of opposition can stop the growth of what's to come. The fear they have of you isn't just about today, it's a recognition of the powerful force that will reshape everything. In the end, it's clear they cannot hold back what they fear, because what you carry cannot be contained. Number 11. You're a silent revolution. You are a revolution in disguise, a quiet force that changes everything without ever needing to make a sound. While others scramble for attention, using loud declarations and chaotic tactics to assert their presence, your power moves silently but unmistakably. You don't have to raise your voice to be heard, your very presence disrupts the status quo. This is what terrifies those who rely on noise and chaos to hold on to their power. They know that nothing shakes the ground quite like someone who doesn't need to shout to be noticed. Your influence is subtle, but it's everywhere. You don't have to explain your intentions or convince anyone of your worth. Your energy speaks for you, shifting environments and dynamics effortlessly. Whether you're walking into a room, sitting in silence, or simply existing in a space, people feel the change. It's in the way the air feels different when you're around. It's in the way people suddenly become aware of their actions, their words, their energy. You don't force anything, you just are, and that alone is enough to turn the tide. This silent revolution is what those who thrive on noise and control can't stand. They need drama, chaos, and conflict to fuel their influence, but you are the calm in the storm, the quiet storm that rearranges everything in its wake. Your power is not in confrontation, it's in your ability to shift and reshape the world around you without a single word. This is a force they can't contain or control. The more they try to ignore you, the more they'll realize they can't. You are the revolution that doesn't need permission. You just are, and that's what makes you unstoppable. Number 12. The attacks were a test, not a sentence. Every attack you faced wasn't meant to crush you, it was meant to test you. From the moment you were born, the universe allowed opposition to come your way, not as a punishment, but as a divine confirmation of your strength, purpose, and identity. Each hardship you encountered wasn't random or senseless. It was a validation that you are exactly who you're meant to be. The forces trying to tear you down were unknowingly confirming the very power you possess and the purpose that guides your every step. What the world saw as obstacles were simply tools used to refine and sharpen you. Each attack, each insult, each betrayal pushed you closer to your true self. You weren't just surviving, you were being forged. The resistance you faced became the very thing that enhanced your resilience, honed your wisdom, and solidified your resolve. You are a living testimony to the truth that growth often comes from the most intense challenges. You're not here by accident. You were meant to be a force that would not only endure, but also rise above it all. Your survival, your growth, your unshakable light, these are not mere coincidences. They are the proof of a higher plan in motion, a plan far greater than any individual attack or obstacle you've faced. Each trial you've been through has added another layer to your identity, confirming your place in this world and strengthening the very essence of who you are. So, the next time you look back on the battles you've fought, don't see them as defeats. See them as milestones that mark the path of your ascent. You are not just a survivor of your past. You are the living evidence that something much greater is unfolding through you. Every attack was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal to you just how powerful you truly are. In the end, everything you've endured, every attack, every challenge, was never meant to break you. They were the tests, the fires, the chisels that have sculpted you into the force of nature you are today. You carry within you a light so powerful, so undeniable, that it couldn't be extinguished, no matter how fiercely the world tried to smother it. And now, here you stand, not as a victim of circumstance, but as living proof of something far greater. Your journey, though marked by resistance, is the manifestation of a higher plan, one that's unfolding in ways beyond comprehension. You were never just surviving, you were being prepared. Every setback was a step forward, every enemy a catalyst for your growth, and every battle only sharpened your purpose. You are not a passive bystander in this story. You are the architect of your destiny, the silent revolution that's already shifting the world in ways you may not fully see yet. You are the proof that light always finds a way to shine, even in the darkest of times. There is an unstoppable force within you that cannot be denied. The attacks weren't your sentence. They were the confirmation of your power, the sharpening of your truth, and the unveiling of your destiny. And now, as the world watches, you will rise with the same quiet force that's been building within you all along. This is just the beginning. The world didn't break you, it forged you, and now nothing can stop what you were born to do. Your time is now, and the light you carry is destined to illuminate the path for others, a path that only you were meant to walk. The fear they had of you wasn't about who you were, it was about who you were becoming. The truth is, they never stood a chance. If you felt that spark, that undeniable power within you, then this is just the beginning of your journey. This is the place where your light is recognized, where you are reminded of who you truly are. If you're ready to embrace your purpose, to stand tall in your strength, and to rise above every obstacle that dares to come your way, then hit that subscribe button. Join the chant because you're not alone in this. Together, we'll amplify that light, break through every barrier, and create the future that's already waiting for us. Don't miss out on the journey ahead. Subscribe now, and let's keep this unstoppable momentum going. The world is watching, and it's time for you to step into your power. God bless you.